All right, so welcome to the, I guess, second episode of the now renamed SideQuest PH podcast. Here again with Daryl and Ramon. Once again, I am Kevin, and I will be, I guess, the host for the foreseeable future. And we've gotten some feedback from the first episode, and we'd like to, I guess, no, not really reintroduce ourselves, but introduce a new intro segment to break the ice. It's called Yeah Man, Nah Man. And to introduce that segment, I give you Daryl.
What's up, yo?
What's up?
So yeah, man, nah, man is basically us listing down subjects or topics that we agree or disagree with
Mm-hmm.
strongly.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
because it's yeah, man, or
Yeah,
nah,
We
man.
are a people of or a group of people with a bunch of strong opinions about
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
I
right.
guess I can start out with the first topic,
Okay. Okay.
which is
This is completely out of the blue, by the way, so we don't know what.
yeah, these aren't necessarily related to video games. So the first topic is peeing in the pool.
Oh, peeing in the pool.
Shit.
All
Not,
right.
not,
So let's start with you then. Yeah, man or no,
With
man?
me?
Yeah.
I'm the one who stated the topic. You guys should start.
Okay. Fuck. Um. No, man. That's
not, man.
disgusting, man.
I
Peeing in
just,
the pool.
I just don't
Like,
want to think about it. I know it happens sometimes by accident. Yeah.
bro, when you swim, like pool water comes into your system. I mean, no one's perfect. You're gonna drink that pool water. It's just oh, just a courtesy to the guy who's swimming, to the other people in the pool. But I don't think I've ever peed in the pool,
I've
ever.
never done it intentionally. I
No
would
way,
never done
dude.
it intentionally.
Like I took some lessons like when I was in grade 2 or grade 1 with my cousins, and even during that time I've never peed in the pool. I,
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
afraid of water, so the most pool I've had was like PE. That's grade 4 to grade 7, and
bro, like my sister, older sister scared me because she said that if I peed in the pool, like it will change color and shit. So I was so afraid because it's gonna be obvious.
I love it.
So I've never peed in a pool because of
What
that.
way to make someone not
Well,
that's fucking litmus test.
I'm for yeah, man on this one.
What the? Okay, okay, okay. I'm interested. Why?
I used to swim a lot as a kid.
Uh
And sometimes, you know what? Whatever. I don't care
huh.
anymore.
Let's go
I
back
want to
in.
keep
Oh,
swimming. I'm
yeah.
not going to spend time going up to the bathroom and lose my groove.
I guess it's not as applicable to me since I don't like water. I almost drowned once, and I never really think
Fuck,
about.
man.
Yeah, I never really think about it anymore.
Well,
Okay.
at least you don't experience pee water, right?
I'm never going when I
Imagine
go back to the
yourself
Philippines, man, and you
almost
ask to go out, man. I'm not getting in that pool, boy. I get in the pool.
I'm not getting in the pool either way, so
Okay. So I think we should go around like for the next one. So I guess that's no for us, obviously, and then yes for Daryl. Oh, you disgusting man.
God,
Uh,
it's not as bad
Ramo.
as you think.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, then Ramon, can you give us one of your
one of this
entry?
is I wanted to start off light, but we started peeing in the pool. But I guess we go back to light. We go back to light for a bit. I mean, this is usually a knee jerk reflex for me, but dad jokes.
Dad
Dad
joke.
jokes.
My
It's a very very broad term, but I think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
it is
or
when
corny jokes.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you know what it
No,
is
dad jokes
when
are
you have
very
to stop
specific.
and think if you're gonna if it's gonna be funny or not.
I mean, like for me, it's an obvious yes.
Hmm.
I'm
It's a
not
yeah man for
sure.
me.
Like, I want to say yeah, but also not. Because whenever I hear a dad joke,
I'm like,
I chuckle and then roll my eyes hard.
yeah, you
You know
I
what I
both
mean?
both spectrums, you know, like
Yeah,
it's so broad that the idea I'm fine with, but I'm not necessarily like thinking up shit about it. You
You're
know,
fine with it, but you don't want to hear it.
I don't wanna be kind of associated with it kind of. But like, you know, like yeah, Daryl's right. That's perfect for me. The chuckle then roll eyes. Because I experience both simultaneously. That's why it's so interesting to me. Like, how can I be so yes and no about something?
I guess
Because
I. Oh, anyway, go.
Mm,
like for me, I actually wait for the room's reaction to it. And then I just makikibagay ako.
I
Pero I never roll my eyes and groan first because I appreciate the wit. I appreciate the attempt.
I don't do the roll eyes and groan like audibly or noticeably. Because I will chuckle first,
Yeah. And
set,
then,
set
oh
the
my
tone, and then
god.
roll my eyes. Like, oh my god.
Like sometimes I would say nice,
I don't think I
nice. Uh,
I'm definitely yeah man on this one because they're harmless.
fine. Yeah, you're right. You know, not super strong yeah man, but more yeah man than now man. That's just
Yeah, definitely.
although I do admit that sometimes what's funny is other people's reactions and not the joke. More of a
That's
Schadenfreude thing,
true.
right?
That's true.
More of
yeah,
a Schadenfreude thing at that point. But yeah, there.
yeah. Minsan, sometimes I feel like it's kind of overacting. Like, come on, it's just a joke. But I find it funny that you find it this
You find it
painful.
cringe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. I guess it's my turn. I have two topics here. The number one, I think.
wait. So if we're gonna do two topics, we should go another round then.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
don't get
sure. Yeah, I haven't said mine yet. So I'm
okay.
But
saying,
go with your first, and then we'll go for the second, and then another round.
okay, fine. I'll go. I was gonna say my second topic, but fine. I'll go with the first. So my first one is VR. Is it a
Yeah,
yes or a no for you?
This is a massive yeah man for me, yo. Like,
it's not as massive for me, but it's also yeah, man. I told you why, right? I'm
Uh,
motion, so I
I'm
don't.
not gonna say why not for.
Possibilities for me aren't as endless. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like
Dude, VR is great.
I know, yeah, it can be great. I've experienced some, but I really just can't last. Even if it's like harmless, even just like looking around,
Oh, okay. That's
my
fair.
brain
That's
can't
fair.
handle like it knows it's in one place and it knows what I'm seeing is in another place. And then when it tries to reconcile both, my head just starts to.
Actually, I find that sitting still
Mm.
when the experiences where you sit still, I get more motion sick. If my body is moving
You
with the
can trick
play,
yourself into like, oh, I'm actually moving, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like when I play Beat Saber and the one with the guns, I forgot
I
the
don't
one
do
with
it.
the
For HUD?
But I can try that
no
next time.
no no pistol whip pistol
Okay.
whip. If I play
Okay.
pistol whip or Beat Saber, where you move your head, you move your body, and then you vibe to the music, it's not so bad. But when I'm sitting down, I tried this one. So last year was my first foray in virtual reality because I was talking to Daryl and the other people who've tried it. Like, which one should I get? Because I don't really want to commit. Because dude, the Steam Deck, the Steam I'm sorry, not the Steam Deck, Steam VR is $1,000. I'm
Yeah,
not,
man.
I'm not gonna commit to that shit. So the Facebook one, the Oculus VR, is the most consumer friendly,
Yeah.
and they're also developing for it. So I just bought it, and the first game I played was like Beat Saber, so it was fun. But then I decided to watch a movie. So all the guys who are listening with the wagging of the eyebrows and
Of
the
course.
I
Watch
can hear it now. But no, it was a legit actual movie. I think it was uh no, it was Star Wars. It
Mm.
was A New Hope, and I was watching it on this streaming. It streams it from your PC basically. So what happened was I was sitting in a movie theater, and Star Wars was playing in the movie theater. And I was just sitting on my couch, and like that was an experience, but my head kind of hurt after a while.
I guess that can be attributed to it being something new.
Yeah, I think my
When I first
eyes were
started to learn to drive, I would get like slight headaches, but when you get used to them,
Really? That's so
driving.
weird. Yeah,
I
man, that's
told
so
you I have
weird.
motion sickness. What happens when you drive? You go from point A to point B. It's called movement. Come
Oh,
on.
I guess.
I mean, I had that when I was younger when I used to play Game Boy. You know, matigas yung ulo mo. When your
Mm.
parents would say, "Wag ka maglaro ng Game Boy sa kotse, baka magilo."
Uh,
But I
Ironically, I can read in the car without my head hurting.
well, I
Really?
can now I
Yeah.
can read now with my phone. Like if I would read
I guess it's
fanfics
just
and
how much I
ebooks,
love reading that my brain is like, fine, I'll give you this one thing.
give me this one.
Give me this one thing.
Yeah.
I
So,
remember like field trip to a amusement park happened, right? For
mm,
me, all I did during that time was huge mistake. I should have tried the smaller rides first. I went through the roller coaster once,
the space
and then
is this Enchanted Kingdom?
I remember lying down on a bench for like 2 hours after that. Next to a scratch cat, puking my head off.
That sucks, man.
For
It
for
really does. That's why my yeah man is not as big on this one.
yeah, well, for me it's a yeah, man. Like it's a legit. I feel like in terms of gaming, in terms of next media boom, entertainment, next level, it provides you with a huge panoramic experience on a very personal level.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's just
And
not
like
too much movie.
yeah. Uh so also just to give some context on what Ramon said, if you guys are unfamiliar, there's this popular theme park near Manila called Enchanted Kingdom. I'm assuming it's Enchanted Kingdom.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it is. It is.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what Ramon was
that was
talking
a
about.
school sanctioned event, man.
All
Had to
right,
learn the
so
fit
that's
go.
that.
Who's
Uh huh.
next? Ben?
I guess that's three yeses for VR.
Oh yeah,
Da-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Daryl, next topic if you
No,
have one.
you start. You start. You already have
Oh,
your
fine,
second.
fine, fine,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
So my next topic is, so as you all know, when the pandemic began, I got deep into coffee and coffee
Mm.
culture, whether it be in the
I asked you for
Philippines.
tips at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a friend. Suddenly everybody was into coffee. Like a lot of my friends were trying to brew some stuff on their own, and I have a friend now who's here in Japan studying actually the coffee situation in the Philippines and trying to address the social anthropological nuances of the coffee farmers to your cafes and all that. So, what are your, is it a yaman or a naman to commercialize coffee shops? So we're talking about your Starbuckses, your Seattle's Best, your here in Japan there are a lot. So there are a lot more than Starbucks because I think coffee culture is a bit older here. So we have UCC of course, which is popular as well I think in the Philippines.
Yeah, they're branded
And
here.
Tully's is another one. Um and there are a lot of canned coffees here in Japan.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So what do you think about commercialized coffee shops?
I honestly don't care for it.
Yeah, I don't like.
But when I
Uh,
do need something in a pinch, for example, I'm going to a shoot or I'm in the middle of something, I'd
There's
go to
always a
them.
Starbucks
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nearby. Uh-huh.
It's very
actually, do those.
convenient and
I don't do that anymore because I don't go out. I mean, pandemic, fine. I don't go out. I guess I would if I was in the place where I could just like go out. It's something easy, but I'm as likely to bring something from home in a thermos or something.
Damn, really?
Even if it's cheap, like one of my guilty pleasures right now is 3-in-1 Nescafe back roast. So
oh, those are good, man.
It's
yeah, I mean, it's
no.
simple. It's cheap. I just add hot water. Yeah, I can control the sugar.
Okay, so that's a no for you, Daryl, and it's a no for
No, no,
Ramon.
no. It's yeah for me.
Ah, it's
It's
a yeah
okay.
for you because of the
Yeah,
convenience.
yeah, yeah.
I know other people can do the convenient thing, but that's just on a surface level. If you go deep dive into this, I'm pretty sure it's like because of that prices go down. Even then, they don't get as paid as much. Even though Starbucks boasts that everyone's a partner, shit like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a shallow dive. Still a yes, shallow.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's a more 60-40 yes than no.
60/40.
60-40 I'm more into it because a lot of people have been introduced to coffee through
I guess that is
commercialized
the gate.
coffee shops.
Yeah, that is the gate. Yeah.
Yeah. I
The
get it. I get
more
it.
the more people are introduced to coffee, the more they're interested to deep dive into it, and then you grow out of that and they go into what they call third wave coffee. And
Yeah.
like freaking Sora's espresso from Starbucks is better than no coffee. So I remember like going to office when I was in the Philippines driving to office. Like, man, that'll be a lifesaver when driving home late after work. Yep.
Even though you were saying,
Yeah, no, that go ahead, please.
That's it.
even though there is Starbucks, and I'm for the convenience of these corner coffee franchises and whatever,
Hmm.
I will never drink in Starbucks.
Never drink in
Mm.
Starbucks.
I will never get a drink from them.
Okay,
It's
Uh,
just
okay.
dirty water, man.
We have a connoisseur here. Nah, I'm just joking. I too am
like
a
I said, I,
connoisseur.
I
You get
prefer
what I mean,
Nescafe
right?
in one black, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
totally fine with this.
But usually I get when I go to Starbucks, especially here, I get
Get
the
the I get
chai tea latte. Is what I get.
fine-ish. That's okay. I don't get their coffee. I get their everything else.
Mm.
Chai, Belgian waffles. If I feel like it. If I want a sugar rush. If I want to just
I
mother
love,
me.
dude. You know what I miss back in Philippine Starbucks? The freaking sandwich. The one with the chicken and the
Ah,
bread in the
yeah,
yeah. I
bread.
love that.
Nice.
I forgot what you call it. Focaccia? Is it focaccia? I don't know, but I
I don't know,
love that.
man.
I
Bread is
love
good.
that like chicken sandwich. It's not here in Japan. You have these icky wraps and quiches and super
Easy.
healthy shit, man. Like, come on.
Healthy.
It's
I want
like
my
the
calories.
McDonald's chicken nugget barbecue sauce.
Uh huh. What about it?
The ones in other countries doesn't taste like the ones here in the
Did not know.
Philippines.
I've never been
Really?
out of the
Yeah,
country.
man.
Well, I've been in Japan for like 2 years, 4 years now, and it's the same. I think. But do they do offer like a mustard alternative to the barbecue sauce?
I can't remember. I think so. And the sweet and spicy one.
It's seasonal here, the sweet and spicy one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
And
sweet and
also, they
sour.
don't have twisty fries, man. The McDonald's here
Ah,
don't have
twisted
twisty
Oh
fries.
fries.
yeah.
God
It's
damn.
here. It's that season here right now. So
Oh, twisted fries are so good.
salt. That's the good salt. All right, who's going next?
You can go next, Roman.
All right. I talked about this with I forgot, like a random friend, but in general, doing bad things in video games.
Like the renegade route.
Yeah, like the renegade route in Mass Effect. That's an example, fine. Or in Fallout, you just screw over the town, like nuke the city, right?
Like if I would do it, or what's my knee jerk reaction?
Shallow chick. You can be knee jerk, you can think about it, but you know, I want to know where you stand.
It's a yes for me, man.
Bad
Like
things?
anything that can provide the play. Oh well, I always when
Like,
you ask things like that and on like game mechanics or game narrative stuff, I'm
I mean,
always
that's what I
yes
mentioned,
for
right?
more
You don't always
choices.
have to be the good guy.
Uh
How
huh.
about you, Daryl?
Yeah, why not? Like, it's not a big deal for me unless I'm trying to chase something in the game.
What I
Mm,
realized is for me that was for me on a like on an objective perspective, I like that you can do bad things. Like you can, you have a lot more freedom to do what you want. And you're not like pigeonholed into one, storyline and you can
yeah.
but I found that in practice I never could. Like
You
I don't
never
know why.
chose the
I
renegade route.
never could. I never do I've never played
I
Renegade.
punched the
But
reporter though.
I didn't do that. I didn't even do that. I was just inward seething and then fine. Yeah,
Inward
I don't
seething.
know why. I could whenever it has to do with doing something bad or even doing something. Yeah, they're doing something bad. I can't. I
Wait,
don't
wait,
know why.
sorry. I want to give context on the punch the reporter comment. So in Mass Effect, Mass Effect is this sci-fi game where choice is a big deal, where you can save the galaxy but choose how you want to save it. Want to be this super paragon of virtue, or the renegade route as we called it. There's this one scene where a reporter. So if you've read Harry Potter, you know who Rita Skeeter is, right? So she's that.
Yeah,
I
she's that. She's that.
Aljalani, I forgot. I think
Yes.
Aljalani was her name. And you had this option where it's like QTE, where you can press a button on a timed thing. Like if you see the logo Renegade, you can click right click and it'll
All
do a
right.
bad quote
Sorry
unquote
to
bad
interrupt.
action. Yeah, sorry
What's a
guys.
QTE?
Quick time event.
Quick time.
All right.
Yeah, it's an what do you call this? It's not a situation, but more like a sequence. There's the word. It's a sequence in the game where you're given a choice to press a button, and based on the button that you press, it's either you're gonna do a good angelic paragon of virtue thing, or a bad badass kind of
Kind
thing.
That's badass.
Bad badass.
I mean,
Oh.
the way they say it, because you're never bad, quote unquote, as Commander Shepard, the
True.
protagonist of Mass Effect. You're never bad, so it's bad badass.
Okay, all right, all right.
So I was so annoyed with this freaking
Who wouldn't be sure?
reporter. It's just I pressed right click and then my Commander Shepard punched her in the face, and I was fine with that. But I agree with Ramon. I rarely pick it as the first thing, even in Star Wars, Swokotor.
Kotor, yeah.
Uh,
Unless you're role playing something evil, I wouldn't choose being bad either. You get what I
Uh,
mean?
mm, mm, mm.
Like if you're evil aligned in a D&D based
and
game,
you do. But I
I'd
never
do the bad things.
had that situation. Unless it's assigned to me, I'll make do. But yeah, it's not my choice to. I don't know why. It's just there. I just wanted to share. All right, next.
Okay. Pluto losing its planet status.
What the fuck? I just don't care, man.
Why?
Uh well, I heard. I'm not really sure, but I haven't really researched why. I just watched some videos around it, like the black science guy, forgot his name, very
Uh
famous astrophysicist.
The grass type? No.
the
Yeah,
grass.
The grass
Yeah, yeah.
Tyson. He was mentioning that it had to do with sizes and how we catalog planets and planetary bodies.
Oh no,
So,
it matches the size. It's the third one because there are there's a criteria, right? There's three criteria. It has to orbit around the sun. It has to have sufficient mass to assume hydrostatic equilibrium
mm-hmm.
or a nearly round shape, right? Spherical-ish. Third
Uh-huh.
is it has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit, meaning
There's nothing else in that orbit except for that thing.
something like that. Sounds like Minesweeper in space, kind of.
uh-huh.
Like nothing in the area, you
So
know.
what did Pluto fail?
The third one, I think. There's a lot of other shit around it that since it's so small, it can't clear. I think I'm not really sure. That's the farthest my knowledge on that is. And I was like, right, this is cute.
I mean, it
This is,
doesn't affect me as a person. I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not an astronaut.
I just used to like space because it reminds me of how small everything. It's a
So
scale.
that's a nah man for you.
I guess it's a nah man for me.
What about you, Roman?
Whether I'm okay with it or well,
Yeah, losing its status.
yeah. For me, yeah, because the more we put like criteria on things, the more we can arrange what we know or what lack thereof. For me, it's still a stride in knowing more about space in general. I just don't know how well, since I'm not a scientist, I don't know how accurate the criteria are or anything. But for me, like categorizing things into more stringent,
Categorizations.
yeah, I guess it
uh-huh.
better. And it opens up new things, or it makes what we know clearer, what little we know clearer. That's my
True.
take at
That's
least.
true. Okay.
Anyway, are you fine with it? Do you hate it?
Mm, I don't really see the point in it losing its status.
It did come somewhere out of the blue, like
Yeah, yeah. Like,
what we've
okay.
known for so long is
Yeah, because
wrong.
we've been studying for a while and it's always been listed as
So
the
bad.
last planet, right?
Mm.
Mm.
For me though, that it's another topic altogether. But that's also like how you
Because
like, how
bro,
you
when you know
spread this
more,
knowledge. No, how you spread this knowledge, right? Like how will it affect the people that we're gonna fight about it, and how petty people can be. I guess in that case, it's like a shit. But other than that, I'm fine with it. I like having more categories or having clear, clear thing.
I'm more of a nah man on it just because of textbooks needing revisions. You know what I
Fair.
mean?
Yeah, that's a lot of thing to do.
Yeah.
well, the more we know about the universe, the better and understanding. And yeah, like Ramon said, the categorizing things in the correct categories. That's I kind of like it though, because it's an example of science
Advancing.
being open to change. You know,
How it should be.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's how it
how it
should
should
be.
be.
Nothing is static. That's science. There's that quote. Just because science revises its stance on something doesn't mean it was wrong. It just means it learned more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We as a people have learned more, which is
And
exciting.
for me, space is a very interesting topic for me personally because I like the irony in that we can learn so much about things outside of our planet, but there are still so many unknown things in our planet, kind of thing. It just fixes my perspective in a scale wise manner. That makes sense. Nerd, but yeah.
I mean, we're all nerds here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we talk about this more, it's gonna open another whole can of worms. So we end it here, or anyone
Yeah.
else wanna raise
Yeah,
something?
we can move on to the show.
Yeah, let's move on.
Interesting topics at least, like
All right. Let me just note this down. So last week, just a bit of a recap. We talked about um game development and how games are figured out, and then related to that as well, we talked about the competitive side of things because us three have been playing a lot of Valorant recently, and the competitive side of it has been a source of frustration. And now, like jumping off from that discussion in games, let me just take a note here. Chapter 1 for episode 2 would be um fan made content on those games. So just to give people context, so you have games that are released by these big companies, and us as fans
shooters.
appreciate the content of those games and would like to show our appreciation through cosplay, through fan art, through fan fiction, through anything fan made, and even fan made games actually, like springing out from the game itself. And this leads us to what we call mods. So I think this is more popular in the PC gaming culture, where the software is available on our PCs or in our machines, and a lot of like very very smart people and very very um big
Determined.
fans of the game create these little software that you attach to the game, and it changes or adds to the gameplay experience. Um, so one of the things that I'd like to open up for discussion is your experiences with mods. So it can be from Skyrim, which we all know is this huge pool of mods that has kept Skyrim running for
Ever, man.
It's
decades,
still going. It's still going.
decades. Like how when was Skyrim release date?
2011? A decade.
2011. You're right. So it's
11,
literally
11, 11.
a decade old almost.
I did not
In a
know it was
few
11, 11, 11, but yeah, it is.
yeah, in a few days Skyrim will be a decade old, and a
It's still
lot
so shit.
yeah.
The base
Oh, wait,
game.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'll give you that topic to open up. But just to complete the context, Skyrim has been initially released 2011, but has been re-released time and time again, maybe more than 10 times now, on different platforms, and even remastered, quote unquote, for Steam or the PC. And what the one of the reasons that it lasted so long is the mods that people keep adding to it. So yeah, the floor is yours. And Daryl, you mentioned that the Skyrim was is shit. So it
Yeah,
kind
'cause-
of
so
The
go.
here's the
base.
thing, and this is something that Bethesda has done over the years, and I think it started with Oblivion, where they allowed modding. But the
Hmm.
thing is, most of their games feel really incomplete upon release. That a lot of them only get better through mods.
Okay. Let's talk about that. What do you mean by incomplete?
When you play through Skyrim for the first time, it doesn't feel like a whole experience. Like you're just doing all these things, the usual Skyrim things where, oh, it's a side quest, but it feels hollow. It doesn't
Hmm.
feel like blah, 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 excuse me. It doesn't feel like I've accomplished anything by doing these side quests.
I mean, you always want your decisions to be impactful, right? But
Yeah,
there's so many things to do in Skyrim that, admittedly, some of them are just have nothing to do with with the plot. And even if you, I think Skyrim is such a short game if all you do is follow the plot. You know,
exactly. If you do
right?
the main story
Just
quest
main
line,
story from
you're
start to
done in 4 hours, I think.
yeah.
Damn.
So you have all this bloat, but and then people add mods that make the experience a little more fulfilling, I guess.
In every way possible.
Yeah,
Visually, if you want a compelling story, they've basically remade another version of Skyrim, another version of, well, one of the areas in the Elder Scrolls in Skyrim. There's this one critically acclaimed one with complete with voice acting and everything. I still have yet to play because installing all the mods seems like a nightmare.
yeah,
But it's still
and
alive now because
it's cool that Bethesda is allowing all these things to happen, but isn't it lazy from them to release these quote unquote unfinished games and letting the modding community keep it alive and
I
do the
think
sales for them?
yeah, I think yes, but at the same time, I'd prefer that than those that lock it down.
They
And
did try locking it down though. That's the thing.
Did they
They
try to de novo it?
they they tried to have their own mod store,
right,
Ah.
right, I remember this. Yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah. Hmm.
Sorry,
So
isa
that
pang pasakalye. De novo is an anti-piracy software that game companies implement in their new releases to stop people from pirating
right,
the game,
yeah.
Okay,
So
and
okay.
which in turn prevents other people from opening it and then creating mods. So I guess let's add more context to what mods actually are, Daryl or Ramon. You can take this on. Like what can we define what mods are? What do they do, or how do you put it in the game, and so on?
like a mod in itself is just short for modification, right? So it's it really is anything that goes under that category, a modification to the base state of the game. Like I said a while ago, whether it's better visual graphics, sometimes better audio, sometimes better AI, because in Skyrim you have followers that go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can remap them to do more meaningful things instead of just stepping on a trap over and over again, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people who play Skyrim have experienced. If you have a follower with you, you just make him
Yeah,
go
man.
through the trap over and over again, wondering if he's ever gonna learn his way out of it. Spoiler alert, no, but anything that goes into that. I am not a modder myself, so I don't know if specifically how people implement these because they're not always as neat. Some work better than others. And I think it's a really good creative expression from the community that makes the game grow more than what it was at the base, which is an okay game, but now it's like what on Google it's like 96% positive rated, and most of
What?
that, yeah, it's 96%. Look it up, Skyrim.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's 96 on Google at least. I mean, there are
Okay.
other places to check, but it's really for its time. It really was a game of its time that like pushed forward a lot of innovations. Not necessarily because they made it that way. It was a happy accident, you could say, because of the modding community. I don't know if we're
So
gonna go through the. Are we gonna explore the more R18 stuff? But there's also a huge R18 following for the mods that have a not a not shallow BDSM kind of thing. By not shallow, I mean it's not porn. It's like legit erotica. If we can delineate those two apart, you know. And I'm not even kidding. There's a PC gamer topic on this kind of shit, like
uh-huh, uh-huh.
inside the R18 modding side. But yeah, you can put that aside. But even that aside, there's like so many communities that I think one of the biggest one is let me
There's yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I'll let you finish before.
Nexus, Skyrim Nexus. It's a modding community, and like it has a lot of like, everything under the sun. If you want to make the models in the game look more anime, look more waifu, look more real, like even water physics, Sims. If you want to ragdoll more realistically, that kind of thing. It's just nice that you can have almost anything you want as long as someone out there has thought of the same thing, but actually put forth the effort in making it into reality. You know, it's also a good testing ground for people who want to. Yeah, I
Get
don't know.
into game
Yeah,
development.
get into game development. This is one of the ways if they can promote themselves here, they can show people how well they do. Yeah.
Yep. So as Ramon mentioned that it's really just creating a lot of modifications to your game. But in order to create those modifications, you have to have access to the assets of the game. So the textures, the trees, the houses, the character models, all of that, and as well as of course the game systems. To create a very good mod, you have to have an open or a bit more open access to the game, and that's what I mentioned de novo because putting in such anti-tampering software to your game prevents modders from creating mods for your game and therefore increasing the longevity of that game. Um, and then also I'd like to address like what you mentioned a while ago, like um are do we allow these companies or should we let them get away with creating such incomplete games? Oh, I'm not I'm not pro big company here. I, I I am moving towards more socialist rather than capitalist, but let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So in contrast, isn't their job to provide the player with the tools for their sandbox? And don't they provide that? Like for example, you have your I mean, we're talking about Skyrim here. Let's go GTA. Let's talk
Mhm.
about Rockstar. So Rockstar they also have or GTA 5 has also been its lifespan has been artificially elongated by the mods the community has created for that game. And Rockstar's story, or no, not Rockstar story, GTA 5 story, it's not epic by any means. It's not it's not world changing. But they did provide you with a sandbox to create your own stories, your own games. So isn't that their job as a developer and didn't they satisfy that?
Hmm.
I guess.
Ooh. Ooh. Because I do agree with you. We shouldn't let them get away with churning out these shitty experiences. That's why after I played Skyrim and I played Fallout 3, I've never touched a Fallout game again. Because
A Bethesda game again, you mean?
I know it's gonna be this buggy piece of crap.
Fallout 4, where everything is. Oh, our settlement is being attacked.
And I've heard that the only good thing about Fallout is New Vegas, and it's not even Bethesda who created it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but the tools
Yeah.
they used was the one that Bethesda created.
Hmm.
So I think Bethesda's investing its time towards creating that open world architecture versus the actual content of the game.
That's so dumb though.
I mean, that's not what it's marketed as. That's the problem,
Yeah,
right?
it's
If they
meant to
told
be
us that, oh,
a
look
rich
at this engine
experience.
we've made, and is it was it Unreal? I don't know if it's Unreal, but look at this engine we made. You can make your own games here. If they like marketed it as that, it's a stellar success. Oh, look how many games, how many good games came out of it. But if you're selling me a game that you tell me is good and it's like that, that's not it's not really acceptable, is it?
It's just here's their what I think their conundrum is, right?
Mm.
They have all this talent to architect such a huge open world experience. And they have such good licenses to Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout.
Yeah, the property,
The
the intellectual
IP,
property.
like it's
Mm.
such a waste to not use them. Because the how Fallout is
But it's
designed
also a
is
waste to shit on them. I mean,
but in Phil Fish, right? No, Todd Howard.
Todd
In
Howard.
Todd Howard's perspective, as long as you bought the game, I'm fine, right?
And that's the problem.
What kind of mindset? I mean, who would want that kind of mindset on something that wants like a well crafted anything? That is such
Yeah.
a consumer mindset, though, right?
That's
Like,
how well, you're talking about like your creatives and your creators, your art directors and your
they're gonna
narrative.
have to mesh, and I know that one has a higher voice or a louder voice than the other, but as a consumer, I'm allowed to like what I like, and what I like is a
Good game,
not a buggy game.
a
I mean,
quality
Exactly.
game.
it doesn't even have to be, let's say, like perfect storylines and everything, because that's subjective as hell. Or even if you do go into the objective side of it, like the storyboarding and everything like that, fine.
You
But
just want it to work.
I just want it to work, dude. When it's because a bug is like the definition of a bug
Cyberpunk.
is something.
Fuck you, man!
Yeah, yeah,
I bought
yeah.
that game.
I bought
I
that
bought
game.
that game day one, man.
I enjoyed that game. I enjoyed that game, but I can also see how it not running is a major detriment to the enjoyment of others playing the game.
Exactly.
I was so freaking sad about Cyberpunk, man. Like, sorry for derailing the Skyrim conversation, but I bought it
We
day
were in
one.
Rockstar Games. It wasn't Skyrim anymore. But yeah,
I bought Cyberpunk day one, and I was hoping, this is CD Projekt Red, like they're gonna fix their shit. They did Witcher 3, man. Everything's gonna go fine. And I waited for months, and it's 1.2, and the performance still shit. And a month more, it's 1.3, performance still shit. Then I see videos on the net where the 30 series cards on RTX, like the new video cards from Nvidia, has these new technological DLSS, and it's hitting 120 on 1080p or 4K, man. Like, are you telling me I have to buy a 300,000 yen card to play this freaking game? And then I uninstalled it. I'm so sad.
Anyway, back to modding.
you're right. I mean, that's just how passionate could you. I mean, if we make the base as like a game that should it have been like should we have been modding it in the first place because it's a bad game? But that's like a talk versus like engines and versus what it was marketed as. I think. And if it's marketed as a game, I want my game to run.
Exactly. You
It
want it
it
to feel like
only
an
mm,
experience.
yeah, because that's what you're gunning for. You're not looking technically for something like that's perfect because it was growing. The video game industry was growing at that time still. We were discovering new things, our hardware could do more, but at the same time you want like a sense that you bought a game because sometimes when you buy something that's buggy as that, it's not an experience anymore and you're just going to get frustrated. Storyline aside even. If you can't even run it, what's the point? If you
Because if
can't
I
even
wanted
play it
to
properly.
mod,
Mm.
I'd get a game that's focused on modding, right?
Or that's focused on a sandbox environment.
Yeah.
What game? What game?
Gary's mod, man. Minecraft,
Minecraft,
Roblox,
Roblox. Those are sandbox games.
and they are focused on community content.
Hmm. Not that I would
The,
discourage like Skyrim modders,
Yeah,
they do
yeah.
good work, but at the
I
same
mean,
time,
like,
yeah,
given
sorry.
that, why did Skyrim succeed so hard that it warranted? Because Bethesda
I think
won't
it was
be
just wanted for
re-releasing
this
it.
time.
Wait, Bethesda won't be re-releasing it after its initial release if it didn't keep selling. Why did people keep buying it if it's a bad game?
It's hype.
The hype.
People
Hype
loved
after.
Oblivion. People
Okay.
loved Fallout New Vegas and 3. They
It's the
expected the
name of the
same
studio.
things
Yeah. Remember
in
when we had a
Skyrim.
topic about games being figured out? This is your new iteration of a NBA 2K game, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna pump that out. And this time, like the marketing is with them, was with them at the time. Because 2011, what other like major good games came out
Does
in
it
2011?
also mean that our standard of games has evolved to,
From where?
From where?
or
Mm.
has this shown a marked decrease in expectation? Wait,
No, it's a
let
marked
let let, let me
increase.
let me
Go.
let me explain myself. Why did I say a marked decrease? Because before mid 90s up until the mid 2000s, when we bought a game and we had a CD and you put it on your PC, PlayStation 2, you expected it to work. No
Yeah.
bugs, and it usually did, right? It
Yeah.
usually did.
Yeah.
But then the 2010s came along and Skyrim came along, and it's a bug-filled piece of shit. Okay, but people still bought the shit. Still bought it way more than the things that they bought before. So does that mean the standards of people who are buying games, they're okay with that as long as I'm having fun? Because
I
people
don't
are
think
buying
so.
it.
I don't think so. I think they're buying it because they trust so much in the developer that they know that it's not gonna be like this forever, and they were willing to wait.
But
And I
people not
think
like
that
us.
set, I think that set a really bad standard moving forward, though. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations lowered in the sense that okay, fine, this game might not feel complete. It's a new topic altogether, like early access, right? It feels like that was like the
Mm.
prototypical early access kind of thing. It was touted as a full game, but it could still be developed in real time. This is also in the movement of how strong the internet has become. Because
Yeah.
in the past, when you only had CDs, you couldn't mod because the data was self-contained. But now that the data can be sent anywhere and
And
your
at
games
fast
can be
rates.
updated in real time, I guess it's a new topic altogether again, like live service games, you know, like things that are just constantly evolving moving forward. That was one of the, for me, probably the prototypical early access game, even though it was touted as a full game. And people just trusted that with the advent of stronger internet connection and everything, that they can update this to fix these bugs. I believe in this developer, this publisher. They're not gonna let it stay like this. And they didn't. To be fair, they did do bug fixes. And when they saw that the modders were doing like much better work than they did, they just let it continue like that. I don't like the I don't like the reasoning behind it, I guess, or the fact that they did release it like that. But you can't, you know, it was something new back then, and we wanted to believe that the people who made these games also did it for the gamers, so that they will in time, you know, make it better, right? But now look at where we are. Cyberpunk is like this, and like
We keep getting
crunch
day
time.
one games
Yeah,
riddled with bugs that require a massive patch a week later.
and I think this is where the other side of expectations come into play. When we lower the expectations for an initial release, this is what we get now. And some people have wisened up to the fact that, you know, this shouldn't be a thing.
It never should have been a thing.
Never should have been a thing. But it
So
was new back then. It shouldn't be a thing now.
then the point stands that our
Hmm.
standards have lowered.
Yes, but they're going back up now. I think.
Well,
Right?
you say that. You say that. The
But the
the
thing
problem
is,
is,
fanboys are fanboys, and
Yeah, thing are fanboys and fanboys.
yeah,
It's so hard to be objective versus that, you know?
yeah,
this culture of fanaticism, like whether it be freaking
World of
politicians
Warcraft.
or game development or
comic,
celebrities
Uh,
or
everything.
comics, this culture of fanaticism has got to go, man. People
That's
have to
not
hold
even counting gatekeeping, dude.
yeah, people have to hold people, developers, politicians accountable, man.
No, but on the other end, I'll play devil's advocate on the side of the producers and shit. You also have to you also have to have a good PR that manages the people's expectations because it's going out of control at this point. I think people the expectations for what a complete game should be is getting out of control, and people I don't know for
Actually,
me. It's getting
the
out of
ex-
control. You expect so many things. And the thing is, you can armchair all you want, but unless you're an actual game dev, do we know any actual game dev? Can they weigh in on this? Like how easy was it back then to complete what a full game is compared to what people expect the full game to
yeah,
be?
that's a thing, right? That's all. Let me get
Yeah.
some drinks actually. I'm gonna get some whiskey, but to harp on that point, right? Imagine being a fucking Gen Zer nowadays, where
Yeah, what is
you're
good game to them?
like
We've
the,
experienced so many spectrums of this development cycle, these games, and
like
it
their
makes me want to think
standard
about
for a good game is Fortnite. And what do they see in
doing bad
Fortnite,
stuff.
right?
Hmm.
They see freaking microtransactions, battle pass, season 1, season 2, season 9. And then they go out, they branch out of Fortnite. And of course, okay, I'm gonna check out another battle royale. What they say, Apex Legends, season 1, season 2, even us, right? CS:GO
I
and
think
Valorant.
no, that's I get your point, but you're also shoehorning it in. It's a battle royale genre. That's how the genre was done, like PUBG, the progenitor, right? Battle arena kind of like
Hmm.
that kind of thing, a battle royale type of game. It's always gonna be like that because if they don't introduce those things, it's gonna stay alive. You need to make it exciting because you're basically playing the same thing over and over and over again. So you have to have something new, whether it's visuals or seasons or goals. I get that. I can actually go with that, um, but they also have games like aren't they expecting games like God of War? When did that come out?
The first one?
Not the first one, the 2018
Bro,
one,
God of War has microtransactions.
the 2018 one,
Yeah, I played it on the PS4 when it came out.
and it's
You can
it's
buy
a
you can
really
buy
really quick game though, right?
yeah, I mean, you can play it without buying all those little things because
And it was
there is
complete
no
for the
story
time.
DLC for that. Sorry
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
there story DLC for that. I mean, they can dish out complete games. The DLC and stuff can be like a money grab thing, but it's not. As long as it's not a requirement for the main story, I'm fine with it. People want flashy shit. Valorant, for example, the story is basically just that. You can play the whole game without ever touching the story, dude.
Uh-huh. This is true.
But the moment like there's this meme video of like it was a CD that was broken into pieces. The biggest piece was the game, right? And then two parts of the CD was broken out. One of them was pre-release bonus, and the other one is DLC. When it's like that, when it doesn't feel complete without those two, that's when I draw the line. That's where I draw the line, rather.
That's an interesting conversation as well because I don't know if you've heard, but that happened really badly with
Yeah.
X-Men, not X-Men, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Because I'm
Okay.
a big fighting game guy, and I'm not sure you guys are. But
Mm-hmm.
during the heyday or the release of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, they data mined fully designed characters with complete move sets,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on the CD, but it's locked behind DLC.
That 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 feels bad.
See?
That feels bad. They could have at the very least pretended that it was gonna be something new and not included it in the.
CD,
Yeah. But
right?
now that the cat's out of the bag, that's that's bad. It feels bad, man.
Man, I think we just it's an interesting conversation, right? Like this, when do we consider a game quote unquote complete? Because it's such a related thing to mods, right? But modding as a culture, I think we can all agree that it's awesome. It elongates the life
Lifespan.
cycle of the game.
But when it becomes a necessity for a game to be good, that should be where the
Yeah,
line
that's
is
the
drawn.
problem, right?
Yeah, that should be where the line is drawn.
Agree.
Because a game that's good only because of the mods is, basically just release an Unreal Engine or something that has like pre-made assets. And people just
But
make their own
then
game
some
to make
people
it
do
better.
enjoy making and modding games, and maybe that's for them too.
Yeah. Although I go back to one of Leakup's points, which is I guess one of the more important things about modding that we have to take into context is the IP surrounding it. If it's just a released Unreal Engine game, there's no hype behind it. There's nothing. But for you to say that, oh, I contributed to something like Skyrim and made it better, you would feel like how many times more empowered by it, right?
That's true.
Because the IP is behind you, or you are one of the driving forces of that IP, and I can only imagine how good that feels for the modders whose works have been lauded as really good.
I mean, when we're talking about mods, like let's talk about games outside of Skyrim. So I'm also a big RTS fan, and one of the RTSs I've been playing recently is COH2. And
Okay.
Company of Heroes 2. It's basically a World War II game where you control squads of units and then you try to beat the other guy. And one of the mappers, so basically it's a strategy game where you play around this big map, and the community has been creating maps to, again, elongate the life of that game, because I think it was released 2015 and
Mm-hmm.
people are still active on it. Like Steam, I think concurrent is 20K players a day. And one of their mappers, Relic, the developers of this game, invited him to their offices in, I think, in Vancouver, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. And they were discussing how to create the sequel to that game and how they should create multiplayer maps with that modder or that mapper. And then and there they gave him a job. So as you said, mods are like a way for you to just display your skill. Like it's a combination of your passion for the game, passion of the community, and your skill as a mapper or a modder that can get you like jobs in the places that create the games that you play,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. Just wanted to share that story. Sorry.
Great. I can agree with that. That's the ideal scenario for a modder to get. I was gonna do a weeb reference, but to get noticed by senpai.
What this way, senpai? Jeez.
Jesus, but it is what it is. I got derailed for a bit, but let's go to something that's also very popular under. I think we can make it under mods,
Mm-hmm.
and Dota is a mod. Was a mod.
Oh, okay,
So
for
is
the
Counter
kids,
Strike.
Oh, it's
for the
Counter Strike.
kids who don't
Yes,
know
yes.
where their favorite games come from,
Yeah.
Ramon, go ahead and give them a history lesson.
All right, fine. History lesson. It wasn't even Dota. That wasn't the first thing, because that was from a Warcraft 3 custom map, right? The
Mm-hmm.
very first, I guess, what you could attribute as a MOBA, or what as a mobile
Wait,
as
wait,
a
what does MOBA
multiplayer
mean first?
online, yeah,
Sorry.
multiplayer online battle arena.
Uh-huh.
What counts as a MOBA? The very first was AOS, Aeon of Strife, and that was a StarCraft mod. Not even a StarCraft 2 mod. That was a StarCraft 1 mod. It was
Not
a
even
map
Brood War, I
created.
think, right?
Not
Or was
even
it?
Brood War, I think. You're right.
Yeah.
I think it was base StarCraft. And that's interesting because that paved the way for something like Dota, which now has a $20 million prize pool. More, sorry, for that's just for
40.
first place. I'm sorry, that was
Oh,
It
just
was
for
40
first
million.
place.
40 mil?
Yeah, and now it's that big, and it's not a quote unquote original thing. It was based off of the engines of Blizzard.
Warcraft 3. Yeah.
Warcraft 3, right? It was a Blizzard thing. Was a Blizzard thing. That's why they renamed a lot of the heroes from like, you know, you can't name it Lena Inverse anymore. It has to be shit, I forgot.
It was just
Lena.
Lena now.
It's just Lena
Lena
now. Yeah,
Inverse
you
is
can't
from an
remember.
anime though,
Oh
so
right,
they
Lena
really.
Inverse is an anime, sorry.
Yeah, but a
What
lot of the characters from the first Defense
Sylvanas,
of the
it's
Ancients was.
Windrunner now.
Sylvanas, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sylvanas is
Sylvanas.
Windrunner now because you can't. That's
Troll.
IP.
And
Yeah.
Leoric.
Disruptor.
King Leoric is a
Yorick! Oh
Diablo
my
thing.
god, man!
King Leoric is a
Bla-
Diablo thing. You can't take that
blast
with you. So it's
from the
SK
past.
now. Right?
Furion. Furion.
Furion. Now
Yeah,
it's
yeah, Furion.
NP. You get where we're going with this. We can name
Yeah.
all day long. But point is, it was a mod. It was created by someone who loved the IP that they wanted to build upon it, and it spawned its own now 40 million prize pool
Not
game.
only that, like the group of Ice Frog, who were the modders. These are legendary guys. If
Mm.
you're not in the scene, Ice Frog, Ginsu, Railai,
They
Yule,
have items
Yule's.
named
Yules.
after them. That's how integral
Like
to the game they were. Yeah.
yeah, just to set like I think everyone has heard of at least League of Legends. So
Hmm.
League of Legends and Dota 2, which the current iteration came from the game called Dota, which is came from the game called AOS, as Ramon explained. Dota, which stands for Defense of the Ancients, was a Warcraft 3 mod. Basically, it was a map where
Custom
it's a
map. Yeah.
5v5 thing, right? Where teams battle it out to destroy their ancient, the enemy ancient. And the developers or the modders of that, Ice Frog, Yules, Ginsu, Railai, they split off because they had different I think
Vision for the
philosophies,
games.
yeah,
The game
on
was
where
going.
they proceeded. And that spawned Dota 2 where Ice Frog, I forgot who came with him, but Ice Frog is the one who's heading the development of that. And League of Legends, which Ginsu spearheaded. And now we have a Dota 2 and League of Legends, the two biggest games in the world
Of their
are
genre. Yeah.
of the genre or before.
Okay,
And this
so
all spawned from modes. It can a good thing can come from it, but it also spawns a really bad reaction by developers. If you did not know, one of the biggest failures of Blizzard in recent history is Warcraft Reforged.
Oh man.
Because they promised so much and delivered so little. But at the same time, they realize that mods like this exist that make that go with the IP and make it better. And they tried to money grab it basically by changing the EULA or changing the agreement to that everything made from this game engine will be Blizzard's. So that also like kills creativity outright. So we don't want to go that far, right? We don't want the the developers to be so threatened though that they would go that far, which I think is still also a bad move.
Yeah,
You're basically
well,
cornering all of your creative fans to
it
not.
it's big corporations being greedy because
Yeah,
where League and Dota have flourished and garnered a lot of player bases, like they're it's like a lost opportunity for Blizzard to not have encouraged that development on their end. And well, that's their fault because they didn't jump on the opportunity while Steam and Riot jumped on to
yeah.
develop, Dota and League. And then I think we wrote here in the topics that we're going to focus more on a bit of more focused discussion on League and Dota. So jumping off from that modding scene, let's take a step towards a very specific mod which we just discussed, which is League and Dota, which has spawned an entirely new genre, which is MOBAs. And actually, in related to this, one of the mods I remember playing Mafarazo TD when I
Mm.
was in high school. If you
Uh,
remember that, oh
Mapa.
my god, the tower defenses that you play on your phones right now, it's Bloons TD, all that thing that came from Warcraft 3 mods. And now let's move on to a discussion towards MOBAs, Dota versus League. Okay.
why would we pit these two things against each other?
I
I
mean,
think I think that shouldn't be
the
the way we
framework.
say it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
not the framework. It's more like similarities, differences, and I think the more important question is where do we go from here? Do we just let those two as they are? Can we introduce new things? How are we gonna introduce new things? Just honestly, as a mobile player who once played professionally, I want the genre to expand. You know, can
Yeah.
Dota 2 do that at the same time while maintaining being Dota 2? I think so far they've done a pretty admirable job. A lot of the things in Dota 2 now weren't there before. Neutral creep items, talents on leveling 10, 15, 20. Those are all relatively new things. And they're
Hmm.
innovating, which I like, right? So, how do we encourage this? What seems to be the trend? I think that should be the mindset, like more of a growth thing than a VS thing.
All right. So we have Dota. So the reason why I think or I brought up this more focused discussion on MOBAs is because this genre has also taken over a lot of the casual gaming space.
Oh yeah.
So things like Mobile Legends and Wild Rift, which are more easily accessible to casual fans or casual gaming fans. Uh, it's also important to take into consideration their perspective as well, because I think the genre won't grow if we're not introducing more players. So I think like ML and Wild Rift are, I think, gateways, gateways to Dota and League.
Is it? Is it really? Because some people that play that kind of thing just want it to be fast. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
they
This is
just wanted to
true.
play during their breaks. They don't. The reason why it's so appealing to them is it's so fast. You don't have to take in as much information as in League and Dota. Cause
So it's
to
like a
be real,
more
it's a lot.
engaging idle game.
It's a more yeah.
No,
No,
I
not it's
wouldn't
not idle.
say
It's very
idle. Yeah,
active. Yeah, it's
it's
very
just a
active.
lot leaner.
I think if it were an idle game, people wouldn't be playing it because you don't have that satisfaction of stomping someone else or winning. The
Yeah,
winning there seems weaker than if you know that
it isn't an
there are five
AFK
people.
game.
Yeah, yeah, there are five
Yeah,
people
no.
whose
What
daily
I
just.
what I meant for with the idle game is something that they chew on their breaks.
Yeah,
Something
it's not really
that
idle. It's more of like a short. It's like more of a burst kind of thing, I think,
mm.
right? Because game time, and game length is still a balance issue, and I think we're sitting comfortably in league. I think it's around what surrender
45
time
minutes.
20. Yeah, surrender time is at 20, 40, 45 minutes. Dota can take longer. Oh, much,
I
much
think the
longer.
average Dota game is around 50 to an hour, 50
Yeah,
to an hour and a
there
half.
are outliers that are insane, right? There's this one game.
The 4-hour Dota game?
Yeah, yeah, semi recently, right? 4 hours.
Mm,
We don't want it to be that. But the fact that it can go that far was also interesting as a player,
mm.
but
Right.
not as a viewer.
So,
4 hours.
you mentioned something interesting on what directions these MOBAs should go into. So of
Mm.
course, let's put down like the must-haves. Of course, you have to have more heroes. I think as the game evolves in this type of game, you need to create new systems to shake up the game.
System's fine. Heroes. Do you? Do you need more heroes?
Doesn't the game will grow stale?
Doesn't the game go will go stale?
Won't
Uh
the sorry, won't the game grow stale
I
without adding that chaos
honestly
factor?
I honestly don't think so. The I'm not an expert in either, but I'm I guess as a guy who's played it for so long, these two games, I do have some insight, right? But the way League is handling the hero situation right now, I think is not the way to go.
League puts too
That-
much
And by that I mean the complexity of the newer heroes dwarfs the previous ones. So I think
because
instead of introducing new heroes, if they want to add more systems, they can either retcon some stories or improve heroes that statistically aren't being used.
like
Why would you introduce more and more and more and more new heroes when you have some heroes right now that are sitting at a less than 5 or 10% pick rate?
right.
What's the
So
point? Just retcon them or just improve them. Because like one of the newer heroes that came out, Samira, what like that was like last year?
last year,
Her passive ability has more lines than all of like NASA's first 2, 3 skills.
NASA's passive is just a life
NASA's
steal, right?
passive is X% lifesteal and it scales as it levels up. Samira's passive is that if she's approaching something, if she's melee but she's ranged but she's not,
I think League is investing too much in that area,
they
while
promise
Dota
too
is the
much
opposite.
new. They promise too many new, not much. They promise too many new things. I think they should just. This is also partially me being bitter that Shaco hasn't been reworked yet, but uh, I think
Shaco,
that they
yeah,
should really just fix older ones first before they introduce new ones. They should look at the statistics, look at the pick rates, look at the ban rates, and see what can we do like with this. I know they want to introduce newer things. That Samira introduced a lot of like I guess hypey things. Same with Vigo, but at the same time, you already have heroes that are just sitting there. And is it fine to just it's
Let
just a
them
promise of them.
languish.
Yeah, is it just a promise of them being good at some point, but not now? Why? Because we can't think of a way to make them better. Is that excusable? It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth to know that there are some things in the game that they know aren't working but aren't doing anything about. I guess that's basically it.
How about you, Daryl? What's your perspective in the Dota? I think you're more of a Dota player than a League player.
Uh-huh.
So what's your perspective towards introducing new
New
systems
thing,
and
yeah. Okay.
heroes?
I like Dota's growth so far though, to be honest. Even if I
Um
don't follow
well,
it
I
as much.
haven't played it seriously in a while, so I don't really care for it anymore.
You're not as invested.
Yeah,
But
but
that's as someone who views, as someone who watches. We all watched the last round of TI, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure. But
that's true.
as someone who watches, because that's a totally different perspective altogether, right? The viewer
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the player. So even if you
Even
make good systems that the players like, they can move around with it, they can do all sorts of crazy shit with it. But if for the audience it lasts a fraction of a second that they didn't even know what happened, right? So we can, I guess we can go through both perspectives here. What do you think a growth standpoint as a viewer then, if not as a player?
Hmm. And it's a tough ask.
Right? I mean, we
yeah,
all
while
thought,
you're I have some
oh,
thoughts
yeah.
on this while you're formulating something. Um as for Dota, you're correct that in saying that the systems for a player is viewed in a much more different light than compared to a viewer. And even as a viewer, there are stages of knowledge because in order to appreciate games like Dota and League, you have to have a deep knowledge and understanding of what's under the hood, right?
Beyond, oh, look at these cool explosions and characters
Yeah,
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think
yeah,
that's why ML and Wild Rift
they're
are so wildly popular in the casual audience or casual setting because
it is that. It is
yeah,
things blowing up really fast. And when something blows up near the base of the enemy, they're losing.
yeah, you don't have casters don't have to explain the complex thought processes behind buys. They don't have to explain the complex jungle mechanics, the
To sit
neutral creeps. Yeah,
advantage for the
it's just
players out there.
freaking
Yeah.
group up at a tower, destroy it, and then move towards the objective. And it's
Simpler
like
objective play. Yeah.
yeah, action, bam, 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 bam. While on the viewer's perspective, it's interesting to note how more casual audiences, like the girlfriends of the guys who watch Dota. I'm assuming like the setting would be they're on their couch, they're watching Twitch with their girlfriend, and the girlfriend would be what the hell is happening while the guys, at the corner of his seat just taking the intense action. So the distinct difference between a person who understands what's going on and the person who's just seeing pretty lights, and how the developers should address the systems that they're implementing should be also audience friendly. Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't be so complicated that it's so hard to understand even after a caster explains the system. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it has to be deep enough to change up the game, so to speak. And from a growth standpoint, I think Dota has been doing extremely well. I think one of the things that Riot in general, this goes for Valorant as well, as I am also watching their competitive that competitive scene, is how Dota translates statistics to in-game uh or how impactful it is in game. Because in League you have your net worth and you have your ACS in Valorant, but I don't think that's enough to show how impactful a certain thing is. Because for example, I was just watching some guy play League a while ago. He was talking over his gameplay and he was ranting because his MF, who was owning bot lane during the early game, bought full damage items while the enemy was there was no tank in the enemy team, and didn't even buy any MR or any armor because there's a freaking Kassadin on the enemy team. So he was complaining that why is this MF just buying full damage items? And me as a former League player, I should say, and my position was that the AD range carry marksman, I would also buy full damage items, and I wouldn't understand why he was complaining. And then during the course of the game, he showed a slow motion of the Kassadin jumping to that MF and just one
One
shotting
shot
her.
there. Yeah.
And then the net worth of the entire team, you have to understand, is concentrated on that misfortune. And once she dies, that's 10,000 gold worth of items gone in the fight. So I was like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right, man. Like the value and weight of the items in the system should be more obvious, I guess. But in that sense, that would be in the sense of the MF who was putting every available gold into damage so that she can kill everyone faster. And then this Kassadin comes up and just pops her like a zit. Like you understand that's 10,000 gold down the drain, not doing anything in the fight. So that was a realization for me that how do you illustrate that to an audience? The value of the net worth
You
more
don't.
accurately.
You can't. You can't. Because
That
they don't. They,
It's that simple. You don't.
kasi
You need your audience to know what
yeah,
they're
you
watching.
kind of expect them to know these things. I think you're talking about new audience, in which case I think it's hard, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about like because
Watch
say
or
you're watching
have some
basketball.
experience. Mm.
Say you're watching basketball. You know the team who shoots more hoops is winning because the points are there. I mean, football is a bit more, or American football is a bit more complicated because there's these downs and there's first down and whatever. And but if you watch F1, you know the guy who's in first, he's the guy winning.
Yeah.
So it's easy for new people to get in it and to appreciate it. And when we were talking about growth, it's how to convey the depth, the depth of the thought processes behind the
Someone,
teams.
that's for someone like you and I who played.
Mm.
I think to have a better perspective of this, we just have to ask someone who doesn't really play the game but watches, and then
Oh,
ask
maybe on the next
them
episode,
what
as
got them,
a
what got them to watch, right? Because that's the
yeah,
only way. Because we've all we're already biased, so it's a really hard question to ask.
It's ingrained in us already.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's tough for us to take a step back because we can't. The whole spiel you were talking about the MF and stuff. I've come up with so many other questions about like, oh, okay, why isn't someone peeling for her? Like these are all
they were
advanced.
they were peeling for.
Yeah,
Never mind. It's
right.
going too deep.
Let's not get into that because
Yeah.
that's deep dive. But yeah, there are so many things to think about. That was a good way to capture one moment in
And that
which
what you know
his
what
thoughts were justified.
that moment was only 10 seconds long.
Yeah, and that
Like
moment was
it's a snap.
and how long have we been talking about it? How long was your build up towards it, right? And like
Yeah.
I think if anything, the only thing we can come out with a certainty right now is that your enjoyment depends on how much effort you put into understanding the game,
The depth
Yeah,
of your
how
knowledge. Yeah.
invested you
how
are.
invested you are. Because I think that the actual gameplay isn't the gateway for people to enjoy it. You know, the gateway should be something different. It should be like marketing. It should be like, oh, what, you want a good backstory, but the actual mechanics in the games itself will only be a reason for you to keep watching if you're already invested or if you're already trying to get more into the game.
You know what's so interesting about what you just said?
Hmm.
It's the complete opposite of my philosophy in buying games.
As a gamer, but remember, as a spectator, is different.
No, no, like because you're saying as a gateway to the game, like
Hmm.
it should be the marketing and all that, vestigial
Play games.
investments.
If you don't play games, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be the gameplay that draws you in. It's gonna
This is
be
true.
those flashy lights.
This is true. I really want to talk to someone who's just, like very interested in getting
Spectator,
into
an
League or
actual
Dota.
spectator. Yeah,
That'd be nice. But all my friends are set in their ways.
and that's also another difficult thing. Really, it's that at the end of the day, it's so hard to delineate between opinion and fact. Statistics is one thing, and opinions on what makes a game great is another.
This is true. All right. Uh, so we're still in the MOBA side of things, right? I wrote here in my notes
Mhm.
the move towards accessibility versus more complexity, which I think we
Yeah, we
discussed
we touched
already.
on that. Yeah, I
Uh
I bear no ill will towards games like ML and stuff. It's not my thing, obviously, but
mm,
it does bring new gamers in.
well,
It
there is
does
that.
bring more spectators in. So for the genre to thrive and grow, I admit that those are things we need. So I'm okay with it, even though I necessarily won't play it.
Mhm. And what maybe some final words on after the all the discussion on MOBAs and the growth and the statistics and the gameplay and the spectators and the different perspectives of a gamer, someone who's all played the game for years and years versus spectator who's just happens upon watching a MOBA. What do you think would be the future, or where would they go as a genre? Is it like, are they gonna sustain this? Are they gonna sustain this? Trending upward, or do you think like all other genres? Yeah, or I should say, is it gonna be as sustainable as actual sports like basketball, football, all those things? Or do you
We
think,
innovate on those things, though. What
yeah,
new thing can you introduce to basketball?
you do the 3-point line?
Mm.
The 3-point line was introduced what, during the 80s,
And how long
and
ago was
now,
that? Yeah.
like, after the Warriors. Okay, this is we're getting into NBA stats, but okay,
Let's
fine. Let's
fine,
talk
go.
about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
So
use it as an example.
Yeah, you just an example. Go ahead.
the 3-point line was introduced during the mid to late 80s, I think, because I believe the early days of Michael Jordan, there weren't any 3-point lines. But the 3-point line was introduced basically for, and then during the 2010s, after the legendary Warriors run, where Steph Curry just shot threes after three after three in with very high accuracy and efficiency, teams have changed their strategies to accommodate more 3-point shots. And they've changed their drafting strategy. So before, when Shaquille O'Neal was the diesel, when he was owning the game with Kobe, like, people thought to win a basketball game, you have to have a dominant big, or very skilled for shooting guard, or power small forward, like Jordan, like Kobe, and like, or generational talent like those guys and LeBron. Like, you need to have those. You need to be an attacker at the rim, and you have to have a big man who's good at defending the rim. I don't know, Daryl. You can just add or correct me on this. But after Steph Curry and who's the other Splash brother,
Clay Thompson.
Clay Thompson, after their legendary run, people have been drafting more 3-pointers into their teams, and
Yeah.
star players have they've realized the value of the 3-point, and that's 20 years after the 3-point line was introduced. That's how they
Okay.
innovate.
Okay, that's how they innovate. That's the point.
Yeah.
They still innovate. Okay, that's good. It's also because it's such an established thing, though. I think the question, if we're gonna make it to the level of MOBAs and shit, have they reached that level of establishment?
They
You know,
have,
Hmm.
but the problem is to make significant change, they
It's
need
much
to
harder.
change or add a lot of tiny things.
Yeah, it's much harder because
tiny things.
yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
he's
no.
trying to make a fun bad shit. But anyway, I get it. I,
Anyway,
I, I get it. I like the fact that for after so long, basketball is still innovating. It's not as straightforward in the MOBA genre because this is a spectator athletic sport, right? And to change that kind of thing due to the statistics is great. That it shows the other side. But in a game like a MOBA, it's not it's not ever gonna be as apparent as that. It's not ever gonna be as straightforward as that, I think.
Basketball is closer to Counter Strike.
I
okay,
suppose,
that's
in a
an
way.
interesting comparison. What do you mean?
when you compare, let's say, esports with traditional sports, Counter Strike already has this established thing where the map is this, the gun spray pattern is that. You have
It's
these
more, yeah.
lineups, the
It's closer
maps,
to getting
etc.
involved than
Mm-hmm.
MOBAs
And
are.
it's not hard to watch.
Because
You know
if
what's
they kill
happening.
someone, yeah, if you kill someone, they know they're winning. If they lose someone, they
Yeah,
know they're losing. On a
and they
spectator standpoint, it's as easy as points made and not made, right? That's why it's
and they
easier to
barely
compare.
change the game. They
Hmm.
barely add anything to it. Like
Yeah.
basketball, where they changed the physicality rule back in the early 2000s and how offensive fouls are called this year. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's established compared to what a MOBA is.
Compared to what the MOBA is.
That you barely need to tweak things, but it's still understandable.
Yeah, I
Whereas in a
like that.
MOBA, if you want significant change, you need
It
to
has
add all
to.
these things or overhaul the whole thing and make it a new thing, but still maintain that fight for the objective deal.
Yeah. Dota 2 has done that though. They've introduced new things like talent, like I said a while ago, talents, neutral items. Those are all completely new concepts. And Ice Frog is a genius for being able to balance it into what it was before.
But
I think that's good
that
innovation.
but that is what makes it difficult for newer people to spectate it, right?
Because it is
They
such
need
a
to
far
invest
cry from what it was
themselves.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I don't even know what the fucking Falcon Blade is, and
Like,
everybody's
right?
using it.
exactly.
Right? But in basketball, if you watch it from, let's say, from this year, from when it was made to this year, you can still see basically it is what it is.
Yeah, and so is Counter Strike, right?
So it's Counter Strike. Still tapping more heads, still getting more points than the opponent. That's how you win. But something like a MOBA isn't as straightforward as points,
Which is,
right?
the attractiveness as well as the complexity of the thing.
It is more
Yeah.
complex.
So again, going back to the point of where does it go now? Um I guess the where we're trending towards is you really just have to tweak a lot of small things which will inevitably result in a systematic change or
Eventually, uh,
yeah.
drawing back to your thing, if they see more Steph Curry's or they see more 3 point shots being the viable option, then translating that into MOBA, if they see this being more, but it's not. Sorry, again, it's just a really basic analogy. It's not gonna fit
All the
everything that you,
yeah.
yeah, right.
Mm,
It's just so hard, and I think that's a whole topic altogether. And I would like to talk on it at some point. But that's balancing.
mm.
Balancing a game is supremely difficult, especially it's something like a MOBA.
Well,
And it's
while we're go ahead, sorry, Darren.
no good. Balancing is also what keeps viewers in.
Yeah,
Because back
they
in
don't want to see the
TI3,
same
right?
heroes owning over and over
Yeah,
again. They
you don't
want
want to
people
keep
to,
seeing Furion. You don't want to keep seeing Lone Druid. You don't want to keep seeing Io
hmm,
dominating the thing. And that's the thing.
like even if that did come from practically
That's what
nowhere, right?
differentiates it from basketball so much. That they can just patch those heroes out. Whereas, do you really
You
want to
can't
patch
patch
out
three
the
points out,
3 point line?
right?
Bro, imagine
No three
patching out
points.
the 3 point line.
Why not?
Exactly.
Exactly. You got the point though, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
The point. Not that not that simple. But at the same time, it does offer like more dimensions, I guess, more possibilities. Because they're right. On a spectator point of view, you don't want to see the same things over and over again. You want something new or something exciting. At least in terms of MOBA, right? So you patch out the guys that people have heard over and over and over again. And then you can market it as, oh, we've come up with new things. And, people are going to watch, oh, what are these new things? And that'll just, what has changed from the game I used to like or love or play? And what is it now? Regardless of that, the finals of TI was still amazing, even if I didn't know all of the new things
Dude, it
involved. I
was
just
so hype.
so hyped, right?
So
Oh,
hype.
we have taken them picking Magnus into account. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure you did.
Magnus
Dude,
was the Steph Curry of this patch.
Yeah, it's gonna get
he
patched up.
broke the game of Dota like
It's gonna get
Steph Curry
patched
broke
up. But
basketball.
and that seems to be what the how you solve the game these days is to find that strat. I think it's a big honor to have something patched out because you used the hell out of it.
Yeah,
But
and what I think, the we're as we're talking about the direction of where things are headed, it's gonna be a continuous
it's a
improvement on things.
it's a back and
It's
forth, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me posit an environment, a MOBA in which there is no balancing. It's gonna be boring,
Hon.
right?
Is that for
On
those who don't know, it's Heroes of New Earth.
where the balancing was a dream.
Fuck
But it was still fun
balancing.
though. It was
It
still
was
fun
fun. It was
though.
fun.
But it's never gonna be a competitive, viable
Bro,
spectator
I
sport.
want to play Madman again, man.
Alright, see, diba? It's still fun. That doesn't take away from it being fun, but it will take away from it being something that's worth spectating. Because if you see the
Yeah.
same things over and
It was
over and
just
over and over again,
broken.
yeah, if you see the same broken stuff over,
Yo,
it's gonna get
remember
boring.
day one scout?
Yeah, man.
Day one scout, you had a cloak, you had a snipe, and you had a passive with a crit. Bro, what
You
do
had a
else do
ward.
you need?
And you had a
You had
ward
a
with the
ward.
silence.
What else do you need, man?
Right? So it's really hard to just take it all in one sitting because it's a lot of
It's too
different
Yeah,
nuanced
perspectives.
for its own good. But
which is
that's what also
That's
makes
fair.
it so
That's
good.
also what makes it good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you
If
know
there's
what that's
anything we're gonna come out of it with this today, it's gonna be that.
that's also an interesting thing to mention in comparison of sports and esports, the back
Mm,
and forth between the players and the developers. Because basketball, the rules are,
it's
you
not
need a
like
fucking committee to change the foul
yeah,
regulations or the fucking 3-point line. But in esports, the feedback is immediate. The statistics are immediate. And devs can immediately take action. They can create a patch to change things. And then you also have your long-term character designers to add Marcy. For example, the new character in Dota who's Marcy. So I think she looks relatively simple compared to the other designs, but I think that's because she's from the anime. But yeah, the back and forth of competitive esports is such a great thing that you'll never get tired of watching.
there's always gonna be something new. You might not like this patch, but you might like the next patch. Not the same with basketball, because basically what you have now is and same
The
with Counter
patches are
Strike,
the players, man.
the
Yeah,
patches are the
man.
players, right? So yeah,
It's the
we've
Luka
established
Doncic
they're
patch,
very
man.
different, but at the same time,
Nah,
it's
man. It's the
I think
Bulls patch.
the Bulls patch.
Bro,
Okay, Bulls patch.
Dude.
NJ, yeah.
Zach
Pero
Levine.
Have you seen the Bulls play?
Yeah,
They're
sorry, man.
so
We got
good.
we gotta talk about this Bulls, man. Yeah, I've seen them play.
They're
Like
so
fucking
good.
the ball in Zach Levine. They seem to have like good chemistry. Everybody else there is looks they're looking like a contender finally.
Yeah, man. Anyway.
Anyway, sorry.
I mean, it's good, diba? There's a lot of different things you can see and talk about and compare, and they're just. It so happens that at this point, it's more Counter Strike than MOBA. That's it. The patches are the players. Meanwhile, MOBA, it's. I think it's also gonna the thing I want to see. The thing I want to see in the future is if these hyper fast statistics and feedback overburden the developers, right? Because
We're
if the
talking
feedback,
about Valve here, bro.
no,
They
but
haven't made. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
this is basically the brainchild of Ice Frog. When he disappears, the changes are gonna be very different, I think. But that's another thing altogether. But what I'm saying is that, like, when it comes to expectations of your voice being heard, it's not always the loudest voice that's right. That's one thing. The other thing is that this is new for your voice to be heard and for something to be done immediately about it. And it's gonna be that back and forth. It might strain. I think in the future, I'm just watching. I'm just waiting to see if it will overstrain the developers because they're expected to patch something that people don't like almost immediate, not really immediately, but like faster than cycles in other games. I think.
Um, regarding that, I think for the more apparent, dislike of the community, they will, do some crunch over that. But in terms of changing things, like I think they already established a schedule, which I think the community
More or less abides,
has,
but
yeah, like quarterly there's a change, or after TI there's a
after
huge
TI, it's a
patch.
major change. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
think I
things
think
will stay the same and be more exciting. I like it. That's
mm,
why I think Dota 2's longevity seems to be more structured than whatever Riot is doing with League at the moment.
because Riot has to cash in now. I think like I can already. Well, I don't have the statistics to back this up, but I think League play is decreasing.
Really? Who you feel like so far?
Well,
Uh,
I am in Japan, and it's not really MOBA land here, so
I remember watching a video that said, never mind. No, that was Counter Strike.
I don't know about Dota. But coming out from getting a $40 million prize pool, man, that's they're
Hype.
they're doing well.
Yeah, the hype.
Right. Um, I think this is a good point to end it after that discussion of basketball MOBAs in Counter Strike.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I like as a gamer. Yeah, like that.
Yep, I think this is a good way to end it. Anything else you'd like? Any parting words? Any Instagram, YouTube links that you'd like to plug?
Now, man, it's
All
gonna
right.
be the next side quest episode, bro.
Lakers suck. That's all I can say.
You know what? I'm still rooting for Golden State to win. I'm still rooting for
I think
Golden
they
State
have
to
a
win.
very good chance of
And
winning this year.
All right. With that, go Golden State. We're going
Go
to end.
Bulls.
We're going to end the podcast. Thanks everyone, and see you on episode 3 of SideQuest PH. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.